Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Rangers Review morning briefing on Tuesday, the 30th of November, St Andrew's Day. And I'm delighted to be joined, as ever, by Jonny McFarlane. Jonny, how are we doing this Tuesday morning?
I'm doing very well, Derek. Looking forward to a very exciting game on Wednesday night, that's for sure. And looking forward to the day ahead with the AGM.
Before we crack on, a big thank you to everyone who subscribed to the Rangers Review yesterday and part of our Black Friday deal. We really appreciate it. So many of you signed up to take advantage of the fantastic offer that we had on. And just be mindful that the offer is still a cracking offer, you have to say, where it's £2.99 a month for top quality journalism covering the club you love. So I very much... recommend you go and check us out. And also, if you're watching us on YouTube, I know that thousands of you are, then just hit that subscribe button so you'll never miss a video when we go live. Okay, let's talk about Rangers. Joining, that's why people are tuning in. Big game tomorrow night. Giovanni van Bronckhorst and Fashion Sakala gave the pre-match press conference yesterday. Some interesting takes from that. First of all, in terms of injuries, gave us an update. Kemar Roofe was training yesterday. He could be part of the matchday squad. Apart from that, everything is good to go. Phil Helander should be back training within the next couple of months as well.
Couple of weeks, isn't it? December, he'll be back.
Yeah, weeks, yeah, sorry. Good news all round, I'd imagine.
Yeah, great news. I think the only one that we still need to hear about is Nnamdi Offabor, if I've pronounced that correctly.
You have, yep, you have.
So yeah, we're still waiting to find out what's happening with him. But in terms of the other ones, that's great news. Kemar Roofe is a big player, and I expect him to be a big part of the future under Giovanni van Bronckhorst. I'd be massively shocked if he wasn't. It'll be interesting to see how GvB plans to use him, to be honest, because it seems like Morelos is taking that sort of brown brogue up the backside that Stevie Clifford talked about. Because I thought, despite the fact he gave the ball away a few times against Livingston, he was pretty good and he worked hard. And he was certainly very, very, very good against Sparta. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see how Kemar Roofe is used. The one thing about GvB we're already seeing is he's got a tactical flexibility, hasn't he? By the end of the game yesterday, he switched to a 4-4-2 effectively. And it doesn't seem to be a guy who has any qualms about changing things up. So perhaps a 4-4-2 with Kemar Roofe and Morelos is something he'll look at. I don't think that'll work because I don't think Morelos works well in a partnership with anyone. And I think we've seen that over and over again. But you never know. He's shown something of a Midas touch in a number of areas so far. So perhaps he could get that working. I just don't particularly see it.
Yeah, another interesting take. I asked him about Jermaine Defoe because, of course, we've seen him at the weekend in a playing sense. And he says he's going to be utilised as solely as a player at the moment going forward. That was an interesting point. Of course, Roy Mackay's come in and it appears that Jermaine Defoe's coaching responsibilities not as... important as they once were under Steven Gerrard, Jonny.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how important Defoe really was under Gerrard. I think it was more of a hybrid role. But certainly it seems like Defoe will be working away on his coaching badges and focusing still on being a player, because it sounds like Van Bronckhorst wants to utilise him, which, listen, Derek, you've been saying it. You've been battling for Defoe and the Defoe cause for a number of weeks, saying you think he's been underutilised, and I don't think there's any doubt about that. So I was actually, when I was watching it, Derek, I thought that's a good question. Good question. And
yeah, so interesting takeaways from Giovanni van Bronckhorst's press conference. Fashion Sakala was also speaking, Jonny. Now, you can't help but love this guy. He says he's happy. He's even more happy when he scores for Rangers. And he was talking about his song and how he can't stop singing it when he's alone. We've seen his little grin when they were singing it when he came on Sunday. He's just an infectious character, isn't he? He's a right fan's favourite.
Yeah, he's so positive. You'd imagine that he transfers that to the dressing room. And listen, it's the famous All Blacks rule. No dickheads are allowed in the... Sorry, pardon my language at this time in the morning. But this is a fact. I'm quoting the All Blacks. That's what they say. about the dressing room. And listen, that's a good mantra to use anywhere if you're a sports coach in any capacity. And Fashion Sakala certainly comes across as a kind of positive guy who will be infectious in the dressing room in terms of his outlook on life. And whenever you hear him talk, he just seems like a really genuine, authentic guy.
Yeah.
And, that's unusual in the modern game because everyone's so guarded and trying to cultivate an image, try to cultivate a personal PR. You don't get any of that with Fashion Sakala, and that's why he's so refreshing.
Yeah, I want to bring up this point by Ross, who poses an interesting question, Johnny. Morning, both. Hope you're both well. Can either of you see Sakala coming in tomorrow to potentially replace Hadji? May allow us to exploit any space Hibs leave in behind with them playing at home. That's an interesting one. It just depends how Hibs are going to set up because in the main, they look to hit on the counter. Being at home, there'll be more emphasis on them perhaps taking the game to Rangers. I'm not too sure how they approach it, but could you see Sakala coming in for Yanis Hadji?
I can see that. Derek. But I can also see a case for Hadji to remain in because he's played quite well, despite the fact it's obviously not his position, getting chalk in his boots on the touchline. I think it's a difficult one tactically. I think Hibs will play exactly the same way as they played in the semi-final. Don't think they're going to change that up. So I think there'll be a temptation to sort of kind of sit back a little bit and just say, right, okay, come on, you're at home. Come on us. And try and hit them on the break. But Rangers have to win. So I think it'll be quite a testy affair, quite a tactical affair. And it's going to be really, really interesting to see how it's approached.
Yeah, absolutely. Lots of questions coming in, folks. We'll try and get through as many of them as we can. Thomas Hopkinson makes a great point. Using Roof and Defoe central puts pressure on Morelos to start performing. He's missed that competition, I think, and it's where some of his performances have been lazy because he had no one pushing him. Defoe is great to have back. Interesting point there from Thomas there, Johnny. Defoe hasn't even been part of matchday squads, so perhaps him just being in and around that 18 perhaps could have a positive effect on Morelos. For me, I think he's benefited hugely from the managerial change. I don't know about you.
Yes, there's no doubt there's been a change in Morelos since GvB came in. How long that'll last, that's up to him. He needs to show that he's capable of now doing this kind of level of form, keeping it up for the rest of the season. There's still pressure on Morelos. It's not over, the criticism because he shushes the crowd because he scores a couple of goals. Fundamentally, Rangers fans, people in the media, they're not going after Alfredo Morelos because he's performing well. He's getting criticism because he's not doing enough. And it's not just not enough goals, because he wouldn't get as much criticism if he was running about and working hard and linking the play. And it's because he wasn't doing the basics. Certainly with us, Derek, when we've talked about him, I think Joshua's been a big defender of Alfredo Morelos up till I think he snapped with that performance against Hibs in the semi-final. But, we've been pretty critical of him throughout, especially probably myself, in terms of what he's been given to the team. But I think most people have come round to that notion that he just wasn't giving enough. He had a lot of goodwill built up over the last few seasons based on what he's done in front of goal. He's been superb. But ultimately, I think people started to realise, I'm starting to see this now, starting to see that the work is not there. And anything that Giovanni Van Bronckhorst can do to get him working will be a big thing for Rangers going forward, because you just can't defend the man short. I thought it was very, very interesting. One of the players, I can't remember off the top of my head who said it now, came out after one of the games and said, one of the things that we've been doing is the new manager has been stressing to us that it's much easier to defend with 11 men than it is with 8. So he's clearly come in and suggested there needs to be a lot more work from the front three. And I'm trying to remember who that was. I think it might have been Calvin Bassey. I'm not 100% sure, to be honest. But it was after one of the two games. And I think we've seen that on the pitch. We've seen that absolutely. And listen, there's no doubt, Derek, Alfredo Morelos is the best striker in Scotland when he's on form. Kyogo Furuhashi is just through the door. He's done very, very well. But Morelos has done that consistently, for his first 2 seasons where he was scoring. Well, he's already scored 30 goals in the Scottish Premiership season. So, and he offers so much. And that will be key to this title race. If he can get him back to his best, then Rangers will be very difficult to stop.
Yeah, there's a point from Scotty on the scene. Do you think reintegrating Defoe is because we may sell Morelos in January? I don't think that. I mean, Van Bronckhorst mentioned yesterday, Roof has been out, of course, so that may be the reason why we've seen a bit more of Defoe, especially at the weekend. But going forward, I definitely think he should be an option if he's considered solely as a player. But it'll be great having Kemar Roof back, Johnny. Again, it's this injury thing that sort of plagues him, isn't it? With regards to Kemar Roof, fantastic player on his day when he's on it, when he's 100% fit. But Rangers just haven't had him fit enough, have they?
Yeah, and that's been the story of Kemar Roof's career. I think actually at Rangers, his injury record's not been that bad in comparison with the up and down nature of his availability at some of his previous clubs. But yeah, he's clearly a guy who needs to be treated carefully. And that's something that Giovanni Van Bronckhorst will have to look at throughout the course of his tenure, because Roof's a player you want available. You might not start every game because you've got Morelos there, but he's a guy that can come off the bench and get you a goal. He's a guy that can cause problems for most defences. He's great in the air. He's very clever in his movement. So he's someone that you definitely want around. See, just on the Morelos Defoe thing that you brought up earlier, the question that I can't remember who brought the question up.
Yeah. I'll try and find it. You carry on.
Yeah, I don't believe that Defoe has bought Scotty on the scene. I don't believe that Defoe has been brought back because Rangers are going to sell Morelos. I think he's been brought back for other reasons, because he's hardly played. I think Giovanni Van Bronckhorst wants to reintegrate him into the team, and I think he sees that he can be a help over the course of the season. But that's not to say I don't think Rangers wouldn't entertain an offer for Alfredo Morelos in January. I think that's obvious, right? Morelos has got a year and a half left on his contract. You get good money for him in January, really good money. But come the summer, with a year left on his contract, there's going to be a sort of tax for the fact he's got such a short period left. You're not going to get the big money that you previously would have. Teams are desperate in January often, especially to get a goal scorer, someone in form. But an offer has to come in. And this is always a thing with Morelos. There's a lot of noise, as Stephen Gerrard would say. There's a lot of conjecture. There's a lot of rumour. A lot of it seems to be coming from Morelos' camp, shall we say. But very little tangible an offer has been made, stories coming out. And we know Lille made an offer, 16.5 million. That was confirmed by the president of Lille. But other than that, I don't know if there's been really an awful lot of serious bids. Now, I know for a fact Rangers have turned down silly bids that they just wouldn't entertain. But serious bids like the one from Lille, where you would actually consider it. Yeah. But if one of those comes in, certainly if 16.5 million came in, I would imagine Alfredo Morelos would be gone with the wind.
Yeah, totally agree. Finally, before we wrap up, Johnny, the Scottish Cup draw was made late last night. Rangers given a home draw against Stirling Albion. I guess it's the best you could possibly hope for. I'd imagine a home draw against lower league opposition. Yeah,
that's not bad, is it? These games are always an opportunity for Rangers to showcase the squad they built. It's as simple as that. They're not going to go out there and play their 11 best at Ibrox against Stirling Albion. But here's an opportunity where you could play 4 or 5 of the first team, and maybe 6 coming in who are guys who aren't playing every week. Keep their fitness up, keep them sharp, give them an opportunity to shine. Someone like Juninho Bacuna, for example, someone like Jermaine Defoe, Scott Wright, these guys who are on the sidelines champing at the bit, hopefully, to get back into the team. And that's not to do a disservice or be disrespectful to Stirling Albion. It's just a a fact of life that's the opportunity that Rangers have presenting itself. And it's great that it's at home, because you have to take it, you have to take it seriously. The notion that it's Ibrox means that you probably feel more comfortable about really switching up the team a little bit.
Yeah, that match will take place, folks, on the weekend of Saturday, the 22nd of January. Okay, that'll do us there. Thanks to everyone, as ever, for getting in touch. We'll have a big preview towards the game at Easter Road tomorrow morning. Remember, if you've not done so already, if you're watching us on YouTube, just hit that subscribe button. Thousands of you are doing so. And also to subscribe to the Rangers Review website. It's rangersreview.co.uk/subscribe. It's £2.99 a month to support top quality journalism covering the club you love. Okay, we'll be back tomorrow, but until then, enjoy the rest